Hey guys, so my previous video was a haul and part of the haul was this Art Toolkit package, but I put it all back in so that if you don't want to watch a whole haul video, you can just see the Art Toolkit video, which is what this will be. I'm going to open this up and then I'm going to actually go ahead and fill it up with paint. So it comes in this cute little package, super tiny, has a little thank you card, and I got, you can purchase these extra standard pans or other size pans separately. So I got 4 packs of those because I'm using one of the palettes for gouache. So I wanted bigger size palettes. So let's put that away. And it's got these cute palettes inside. And I got the Demi. Little super adorable, and sorry about all the paint on my fingers because yesterday I was also doing a palette. I redid my Tim Holtz palette, so I got a bunch of paint on my fingers. So we have the cute little Demi palette, and then we have the Folio palette. And the reason I got these 2 sizes was because I already have the standard size palette. This is not from Art Toolkit. This is just like a business card holder that I got on Amazon. And I bought these pans, these ones. I have a few left over. So they're basically the standard size pan. They're about the same size. And I got these on AliExpress, and I got this aluminum, very lightweight business card holder from Amazon. And I filled it up with my Sennelier watercolors, and it fits 14 colors. And then I have a little swatch sheet right there. I had a little space left over, and I was like, that's the perfect space for me to put down all the colors. So I already have that size, so I didn't want to get that size again. I wanted to get this cute tiny little thing that's going to be super easy to bring everywhere. So it's about the same width, maybe a millimeter thinner, but about the same thing. And then the Folio palette is much larger. So let me set these baggies aside. So here's the Folio palette, and that's how the larger one looks. It's got the Art Toolkit right there and the Folio palette right there. And then this one, the smaller one, has the, I don't know if you guys can see that. It's right, it takes up like the whole back. It's got like a much bigger logo on the back. It takes up the entire back. Whereas the Folio palette, it just has Art Toolkit and Folio palette. And this one just says Art Toolkit and their website. It doesn't say Demi palette, but this one does say Folio palette. And so just to have some variety, I got a little cute little silver one. This one is a more like grayish dark silver, more like a pewter sort of color. So now I have these ones, and they're all different in colors. And I have been eyeing the Art Toolkit palettes on Traveler's Factory website, and it's so tempting. They have like pretty colors and pretty designs. So I don't know, we'll see. Right now I have enough with just these ones. And this one, so as you saw, this one I got empty. And then this one I got with some mixing stuff in it. These ones I plan to put in here, these little ones, and then these bigger ones. These ones I was gonna spray white and use as a mixing tray, maybe for like a Demi palette at some point. Like, could put that in there and use it as a extra mixing space. But actually, since I'm using gouache, I've thought about it, and I think I'll use 2 of these in the bigger palette because I can put white and buff titanium in it, because I think those are the 2 colors I'm going to use a lot. And then for the rest of them, I'll use these sized ones because it's gouache, so I don't want to use super tiny little pans for gouache. And these 2 I don't need right now, so I can either save it for a palette for down the road, or what I've seen some people do is take a piece of magnet, like a magnet strip or a magnet sheet, glue it to, let's say, cardboard or something sturdy, and then just plop that on top, and then it acts as like, you can take it along with you as mixing space. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. I'll think about it. We'll see. But it's definitely something that's an option, or even just taking this one with you along as extra mixing space. So those are going to get saved. I'm not using those right now because I want all the space for the actual paint. Another tip that I've seen is that if you put these in here, then it prevents them from sliding too much down, like, because it can go all the way down like that, and then a lot of it is lost under the lip, whereas with the toothpick it kind of holds it up from that. I wonder, like, maybe it would work even better with 2 toothpicks. I don't know. Or 3 toothpicks. I feel like I need 3 toothpicks in there to use up that space. Yeah, see, so if I put 3 toothpicks in there, then it really holds it up. I don't know. So that's something to consider. So I think I'll definitely do that for here. I just need to cut off the toothpick edges. I only have 4 toothpicks, so I guess 1 is going here and 3 are going here. So they're all only getting one layer. It's a toothpick, so you can cut off the edges with just scissors. Oh. And then, yep, and then it just falls in there. So I think what I'm gonna do with these 12 is I have 12 tubes of MaimeriBlu. MaimeriBlu, I don't know. It's an Italian brand. All of these are single pigment colors, which is really nice for mixing. So I have 2 sets, and the tubes are relatively large. It's perfect to use for, you know, multiple palettes. There's plenty of paint to set up multiple palettes with it. So that's why I'm gonna use that. Here are the colors. These are the 12 colors in it. So it's not a perfect palette. It does have a warm and cool yellow. It does have an ochre sort of color. It has a green, gold, orange. Then it has 3 reds, which are, these 2 are kind of similar. This is more of a cool red. This is a warm red. And this is, I guess, a medium red, more like an alizarin color. And it has a really pretty purple, which I don't really need particularly, but it's there. It has a couple blues, which is nice. And then it has either a black or a gray. Sure. What is that? That is a carbon black. And here's some mixes I made with it. So it's actually, even though it's very limited and kind of a somewhat strange color selection, it's actually, you can mix a lot of good colors with it. I made these flowers with it. I made these flowers with it. These flowers. So you can see, yeah, like all of these flowers are made with this one palette. So obviously there's enough colors in there to make a lot of good variety. Like all of these, that's it. Yeah, all of those were made with the MaimeriBlu limited palette. So if you mix colors, you can get a lot of variation. So let me leave that open so I can see what order I want to put the paints in and set that aside. And then for this, like I said, I'll be using, oh, I actually only need 2, unless I take off the ends and kind of, let me see, maybe kind of glue it together. And this one I'll be using my Holbein gouache that I bought, like a 24 color pack. And then, so I bought 24 of those. And then, okay, hold on a second. So I bought 24 of those. And then I actually got a buff titanium by itself from Daniel Smith, because he was that brand was the only one that had the buff titanium in gouache. And then I got 1 to try out from ShinHan Pass, maybe, I'm not sure. I got 1 color to try out from them, so I'll put that in there too. I do have a small, very small primary color set from Winsor & Newton, but I'm not gonna put that in there. Somehow glue it together. Because it's wood, it should bind pretty easily to each other. If I leave it alone for a second. So I think on wood, even the Elmer's glue works okay. Oh, that one doesn't wanna, it's a little crooked. Let me see if I can make it straight. So let's set that aside. Okay, I messed it up. Let me redo it. Okay, set that aside, and then let's fill up these little buggers. So I have this little palette knife. Oh, and let me get the water and the other palette knife. So as I said yesterday, I was kind of redoing and topping up my Daniel Smith palette. I used a palette knife instead of toothpicks or pointy things. I used a palette knife yesterday, and it actually worked really well. So that's why I have a couple palette knives here. Let's see what we want to do. Maybe we'll start with I'm a little nervous about filling these up because they're so tiny. I feel like it's not going to be that easy, but I guess that's all right. So let me set that aside. And I'm glad I already used these colors so much to make like a good number of paintings with them. So I know that, you know, they're versatile and they can do all sorts of things. So let's see how this goes. Let's give it a go. Let's get a paper towel here just in case. Okay. And hopefully it fits a fair amount of paint, because they're so tiny that I'm a little afraid I'm gonna run out, because when I had it filled up in the small like ceramic palette, and I had to keep refilling the yellow. I forget which yellow, but one of the yellows kept running out, and I think it was probably about the same amount of space as this one, even a little bit more. So I hope I don't run out on vacation, but just in case, I'll bring my other palette with the Sennelier colors, so that if I do run out with one of these, I'll just use that one. Okay, I think these are too small for the palette knife, so I'll just use this instead. So that's the black. Dip it in the water. If you use a toothpick, you have to use like 50 toothpicks, right, when you do this. But if you use like a metal thing, even a palette knife, how I was using it yesterday, you just dip it in the water, wipe it on paper towel or whatever, and you're good to go. So I think this is, one is the lighter yellow and the other one's the darker yellow. And it doesn't, neither one of them is a lemon yellow, so it's hard to say. This is yellow vanadium and this is primary yellow. I think primary yellow is warmer, and I've been keeping them in their boxes. Oh, that one has a little bit of separation, so I'm gonna have to stir that one for sure. Oh, this one's very solid. Look at that, it just came out like a chunk. Oh, I hope I didn't put too much out actually. I hope that still fits in there if I smush it around. And when it dries, watercolor, when the moisture kind of evaporates from it, it's going to end up sinking down a bit and shrinking. Sometimes they really shrink like a lot, like almost half of it will be gone, and sometimes it's just a little bit. So it's okay if it goes over a little bit, you know. But because it's such a flat profile on this palette, I don't want it to go over too much. And the reason I'm setting this up now is I'll be going on a little vacation soon. And actually I had ordered this and I was hoping it would get to me in time for my little trip to Florida that I recently had. But it was very slow shipping, first of all. And then the post office, for some reason, it was at the sorting center in my town, and then it sent it to a nearby like big city instead, and then sent it back to my town. So, and they missed their delivery date was supposed to be Monday, which would have been enough time for me to fill it up and take it on vacation. But then instead it got here Wednesday, which is the day I left that morning. So it was definitely not enough time to set up the palette. So that was kind of unfortunate, but I ended up just taking my Roman Schmal palette with me. So it worked out okay, I guess. But now I'm going on a slightly longer trip. That one was only a couple days. Well, it was like Wednesday through Saturday, but this trip will be a week. So I did want to have my gouache with me for that. Oh, again, I put a little bit too much in. So hopefully it shrinks. This might be a few sessions of putting these palettes, oh no! Putting these palettes together. Because, okay, now you guys can see why I got all that paint on my hands from doing the Daniel Smith palette, right? You can see like how I got paint everywhere. That was a lot. I made a big mess yesterday. But it's done. Yay, my Daniel Smith. Actually, they're now in 2 palettes. That was the change I made. And now they're done. And now they're ready to use. I'll give them a couple days to dry fully, and then I can use them, so I'm excited about that. Let me see what colors I want next. I think I did the yellow. Yes, this is the yellow ochre, and I did that next on the swatch sheet. Ooh, that's too much came out. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can get it to go back in the tube. See, if you get too much to come out of the tube, if you kind of push the tube a little bit, you can get it to go back in. It sucks it back in. And I know lots of people use like tweezers to make these little palettes and to be more neat about it, but And I have tweezers. I do have tweezers. I even have like proper craft tweezers for crafting, but I don't know. I'm just not into that. I'll just wash my hands when I'm done, and you know, it is what it is. I'm used to having paint all over my hands, so it's fine. But if you guys are not into messy paint palette videos, this is probably not the video for you. A bit of a slow process. So I think I like how this is going. I like these three together, right? And then the other question then is, do I put the orange here and then the green at the bottom with the blues? Or do I put the yellow green up top, the green gold up top? Because even though it's kind of green, it's really more of a yellow. Yeah, I think I'll just keep it up top, even though we could go with the blues, but it's, oh shit. Oh my God. This is not the first time I get everything. Oh no, now I got my other finger into the yellow. Okay, I'm making like a complete mess of everything. This is extremely terrible. So let's do that. And then let's do, I don't want that all over the side. I feel like I should move it to the side. I'm gonna move it to the side because like I keep getting everything in there. There. We'll do that, and then we'll do, okay, nice and clean. All right, green gold. Am I overfilling these? Is that the problem? Is that why I'm making such a mess? But you know, I don't want to put too little paint in there because these little pans are so tiny already. They barely fit any paint in. I'm glad I'm not doing this size for the gouache. That would be like really not good. I think for watercolor it's fine because watercolor does go a long way, but gouache is, you use thicker in a more opaque way, so gouache goes a lot faster. That's good enough. Let's set the green gold aside. All right, that's the first row. And when I got these two boxes, I don't know if they're still available on Amazon, but when I first got them, they were a pretty good deal on Amazon. That's why I snapped them up. I think they were part of one of my gifts for something, and they were a very good deal at that time. So now we have 4 reds. I don't want to mix up which boxes have which colors. So orange goes first. This is Orange Lake, so we're going to do that first. Orange. I like how these have like such thick mouths. That's like really nice, actually. Makes it much easier. Okay, let's set that one to the side since we've learned our lesson about having them right in front of you. Okay, and then we have 2 reds. Okay, these are both warm reds. And then I have this is rose, magenta rose. So this is the cool red. So this is going to be the last one in that row. Okay. Sometimes, you know, I like to buy the 5 milliliter tubes always of everything because watercolor does last such a long time. But MaimeriBlu only comes in this size and Sennelier only comes in the bigger size. And sometimes it's kind of convenient because then you can make multiple palettes. Like now I have the travel palette with Sennelier colors. And then now I have this one. So sometimes it's nice to have the bigger tubes because the 5 milliliter tubes barely last, you know, beyond making that a 1/2 pan. You make 1/2 pan and most of it's gone. Oh no, this one does not want to let me wipe it off. Good. Okay. So that's the last one in that row. We're setting that to the side. And I'll come back and show you guys how these came out and make little swatches to put inside. Like as you saw, they do fit like a little piece of paper in there and then fit. So this one is Permanent Red Light and Quinacridone Red. 251, 250. I think this one's a bit warmer, so that one's gonna go next after orange. But it's a little bit hard to tell. They're both kind of equal. So these palettes are curated by 2 different artists. So sometimes artists have interesting choices. So on the one hand, sometimes it's a little weird because their choices are not something you would ever think of or choose. But on the other hand, it's kind of nice because you're trying out, you know, it's almost like a little challenge to use a palette that is not something you're used to. Okay, so we're gonna assume that's the warmer red and put that next to the orange. And then the last one in that row is quinacridone rose, quinacridone red. Yeah, that one definitely looks cooler. So we're gonna go with that one being next to the magenta. Oh my God, look at my hands. It's all right. It's okay. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay, this one actually came out pretty good. Look, kind of neat as compared to my other ones. And now the last row, we just have 3 more. We have the purple. I'm gonna put that after the pink. So that's gonna be first in that row. And that last row is gonna be the purple. And this is a quinacridone violet reddish. It's a pretty purple. If you're, oh no. Oh, that's not good. Hold on, I dropped it all over. That's all right. This is where the palette knife comes in handy. I'm gonna scrape it off and pop it back in. See, like pretty much almost all of it came out when I flipped it upside down by accident. I'm literally the messiest swatcher and palette setter upper ever. See, that's the other thing I liked about the palettes is, the palette knives, is you can almost like flatten it. It looks kind of neat. Let me wash off the palette knife. See, it just wipes off in like 2 seconds. It's kind of cool. Let me wipe that one spot. All right, where was this one? Here? Or here? It goes in that one. And then we have 2 blues left. The lighter blue will go next to the purple. And the darker blue will go next to the black. Okay. This is a turquoise green. Turquoise green? I don't know about that. It's more like a turquoise blue to me. That is definitely not a turquoise green. I would call this a turquoise blue or a phthalo blue. It looks exactly like a phthalo blue green shade. Phthalo blue green shade is what I'm gonna go with. Whatever they want to call it. That one is super staining. And last one. Oh my gosh, this took a while. Let me see. Does this peel off? Okay, never mind. We're not gonna worry about that. Okay. And I have a feeling these will really need a refill after even one trip, because like I said, there's just such tiny little palettes. But with my gouache palette and with my Sennelier palette, it should be plenty. But this tiny little palette would be really good for like day trips, because it would certainly be enough paint for a day trip. It's one of those things you can like just throw in your bag or a pocket or like really literally anywhere because it's so small. So it's very convenient that way. That's it. That's it. They're a mess, but they're done. And we're gonna close those up. And I think this one goes here with the turquoise green. Yep. And then this one has the black. And this one goes here. It doesn't want to close. Gonna make it neater. Okay. So that's done. Hopefully the gouache is a little bit easier because I'm using much bigger pans. Gonna need a lot of these. I want to use the one with the broken barcode because I don't want to store that. The barcode came off and went all over everything in these like tiny little black lines. So let me show you what I'm using for the gouache. Yesterday I swatched it out while I was doing the Daniel Smith palette as well. So here are all the colors. These are the 24 colors from the set. And then there's a white and a black I didn't bother swatching out because I know what that looks like. And then ignore that. That's the Danielle Smith colors that I was trying to figure out as I was swatching them. Here's the ShinHan. I have a John Brilliant, so like a yellow brilliant maybe. The Danielle Smith Buff Titanium. And then I have these 5 colors I purchased from Holbein separately from this set. I want to include all these because I had to handpick them. Though, like I said, the white and the beige I want to make in these bigger pans, which is the size of 2 of these. So I had to get rid of 3 of these colors and not, because there wasn't space then for 3 colors. So I think the ones I'm going to eliminate are alizarin crimson, violet. I don't need that because the magenta is the same thing except it has ultramarine. So this color is these 2 colors combined, so I don't need that. And the alizarin I think is not very different from carmine, but probably less light fast. So I'm going to eliminate that. And then I'm going to eliminate this permanent green deep. It's a pretty color, but it's not very natural. And I don't need a ton of greens. I already have that green and that green and that green and that green. And that green. So I'm good on greens. Plus I prefer mixing my own greens anyways. And this one I didn't even write the pigments because it was just so many of them. And I prefer it when paints are fewer pigments as opposed to like a whole mishmash of pigments together. So I think that one, and that one are not making it on the palette. So let me write that down so that I don't get confused. Okay, that one. Can barely see that, but it's actually good because I don't want it to be too dark. Okay, so those ones are not making it in. So I'm going to keep that over there for reference. And let me show you all the colors. I have them all together. Oh, it's a heavy box. So it has the 24, and then kind of where some of these colors go, I put, you know, like white and beige, and then I put them on top like with their color groups. So let me set these palettes aside and start filling them up. I just need to. And I had, when I opened this, the Danielle Smith Buff Titanium, it kind of squeezed out, so I like a little bit of it off, so I can put that back on here and then just fill it up. So the only thing is, where am I going to put them after I fill them? Because you guys already saw how I made a mess when they were right in front of me. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to be putting them over here. That's a good idea. All right, let's do the Buff Titanium first. Ooh, see, that actually takes a lot. So that's good. Did I do too much? I hope I didn't do too much. I can kind of squish it in. This is what I was doing yesterday with the Danielle Smith half pants. I would like squeeze out a bunch and then smush it in and sort of flatten it. And like I said, it's okay if it goes a little bit over the top because it will shrink. The gouache shrinks a lot too, because so much of it is just moisture, so the moisture evaporates and then you're left with kind of a more condensed version. So let's set that aside. That went well. Okay, that wasn't too bad. That was much easier than those tiny little palettes. Okay, see, and look, because it comes in a 15 milliliter tube, still a fair amount left, so that's good. Okay. That one's done, and let's do a nice big white as well. And I'm gonna bring a small tube of Caran d'Ache white gouache that I have. It's very tiny, so it's great for travel. I'm gonna bring that as well, just so I have a tube like wet white and like extra white in case I run out. But it's also nice to have the white there, like in the palette too, so you don't always have to have the dried one with you. All right, let me pick that up. Scrape that off the side. Okay. Let's smush that in there. Might have put a little bit too much of this one as well, but it's very wet and there's a lot of binder right there. So I'm thinking maybe it will shrink even more than usual. It's very liquidy. So I think that means it will shrink more. Okay, let's set that aside. And I might wipe the sides before I put them into the palette once they're dry so I don't make a huge mess. So I'm probably going to let all these paints dry and then come back in a day or two and continue with the video. So I'll set that aside as a mixing palette for down the road. And then move on into the, you know what though, I did not figure out what order I want them all in. So that is going to be interesting. So I think we'll start with the order I'm used to is I'll start with the lemon yellow. Their palette starts with the reds, but I'm gonna obviously start with what I'm used to. And we have 10 of these fit in the row. So with 2 of those being larger, it's going to be 6 more of these can fit in there. So this is all just the first row with those 2. So let's do yellow next. Let's do that. It does really come out very neat with the palette knives. So I like that. Okay. Set that aside. Dip the palette knife into the water. Wipe clean. So convenient. I just don't like wasting a bunch of toothpicks. And then there's always so much left on the toothpick, and I don't know. It's harder to scrape a toothpick, you know. It's a little bit more in there. Stick that, okay. Oh no, I'm making a mess again. You're probably all thinking like, why don't you use the tweezers? That's what they're for. I know, I know. Okay. And it's actually fun scraping it with the palette knife. There. Okay, that's nice. Yay, it's looking so pretty. I can't wait to put this palette together. I'm so excited to have a travel palette with gouache. And then have this palette too. And I think I'm gonna make it my gouache palette, and it has 36 compartments. So I will be able to fit all the colors in here. And this is the one I will keep at home, and then the other one will be for travel. If you wanna see a video of me making that palette, let me know. Although after I make this palette, I don't know if any of you ever wanna see me making any more palettes ever again, because it's such a mess. So yeah. So I think we're gonna do Drawn Brilliant, which is yellow brilliant. Okay. I wonder how light fastness 3. That's nice. That's good. And this is gouache, designer's gouache, ShinHan professional designer's gouache. I had only just gotten the one to try it out. And this is a 2 pigment, yeah. It's PO20 and PW6. Oh, I gotta do that. Hold on a second. Let's flatten it. Isn't that fun? I just love doing that for some reason with the palette knife. It just comes out so nice and flat. It looks professional. Despite the mess I'm making, it looks almost professional. I think the 2 oranges, this light yellow orange. I hope I counted right and that I have enough space for everything. I hope I counted right. Okay. I just counted again. I think I counted correctly. So let's do the brilliant orange. Isn't it fun making palettes? It's like part of the fun. of watercolors and gouache is making palettes. Oh, there's like a little dust in it. I don't want that in there. Oh, it's like stuck to it. It's weird. Okay. And what else do we want in the last row? This flame red, and then we'll do the cooler reds and pinks and purples, and then go into blue, then go into green, and then go into neutrals. Oh, wait. Maybe I should put the yellow. Oh, hold on a second. All right, let's not worry about that right now. I might rearrange the order though later of what goes into what row. This is going to be a long video. So hopefully you guys are doing something else while watching this, kind of having this playing in the background while you paint or do chores or whatever, right? Okay, now we want to open this one because, hey guys, sorry about that. My camera cut out, and then I figured, you know what, you had enough of me filling the palettes and all that. So I just went ahead and finished filling them up and let them dry overnight. And I wanted to show you what they look like now. I also made a couple swatch charts. I'm just gonna erase the pencil lines after I put the paint in. I'm gonna show you what they look like now, and also I'm gonna put them in, because I think that's going to be fun. And so here's where I was with I had the toothpick, or I had this toothpick for that. But then if it's just a toothpick, it helps, but it doesn't help enough. Like, it still goes under. So I was like, oh, let me try the bamboo sticks. These are like bamboo skewers, and they were just as easy to cut with scissors. I thought, let me try that. And it goes a tiny bit under the lip when it's there, but it's much better. So that actually works much better than the toothpick. So I'm going to use the bamboo sticks. And the good thing about them is they're longer, so I was able to get one long piece for this one as well. That's a little tip for you guys. Use the little bamboo skewers to improve your palettes. All right, so let me show you what they look like. Oop. And the watercolors dried beautifully. It dried really nice. So now the gouache, not quite as nice. I'll show you in a minute, but let's do yeah, so see, like a tiny bit, there's still a tiny bit of space there. I wonder, I could even put the toothpick back and see if that helps. Oh, that actually seems to work even better, because now it really doesn't go under the lip at all. Let's see if that actually, if it's too much. No, that's maybe a tiny bit too much. Let me see. The close is fine. Yeah, that's actually perfect. So I think I'm going to leave the toothpick and the bamboo stick there. Let me see. There. Doesn't that look so cute? It's coming out so cute. That's why I got this one, just because of the cuteness factor, honestly, to be honest with you. I don't know how useful it will be with the mixing space and everything. I don't know. It might be a little bit too much with the toothpick, but I'll leave it for now. Got a little cat hair on it. Okay. There, and last piece. How adorable is that? And that's actually enough watercolor for, you know, for all sorts of things. Now, this little experiment wasn't as successful. This glued together okay, but these two did not. But I think maybe I'll still put them in there, you know, just to have that added. Yeah, just kind of stick it in there. And then That should hold it up well. And here's how the gouache dried. It cracked, which makes sense. A lot of it got a lot, kind of shrank a lot. Some colors shrank a lot, some colors did not shrink a lot. But some cracked more, some cracked less. I'm gonna move it a little bit to the side. Seems like there's a tiny bit of space on the sides. Okay. Some of the cracked ones are crumbling and falling out. So I might either add more gouache or some glycerin. I do have glycerin, so I might add some of that to the ones that cracked and want to fall out. So it's this one. The blue seemed particularly at fault here. The main culprits, this purple completely fell out where it cracked. So this one fell out, this one. And you'll see with the color order I picked after I swatched them all. So this one and this one are probably gonna get some glycerin, some doses of glycerin. Like, look at this one, completely shrank. I don't know if you guys can see. It like really, that's why I wasn't too worried about overfilling. Even the ones that got overfilled shrank enough to where the case is not gonna have any trouble closing. Like this one, look at that. It's almost empty. I might need to refill that one actually because yellow does get used a lot. So, and then here's white. That looks really nice actually. I like that. Look at that. Voila. Oh, and this, yesterday when I was filling them, I flipped over an ultramarine, I think. So even after I turned the camera off, I didn't make any less of a mess. So that's just how it goes with me. This was the paper towel. Okay, so let's do a little bit of some quick swatching, and then I'll erase the lines. And I have some reusable washcloth over there too for dabbing the paintbrush. I'm just gonna do circles. I don't want to go over the pencil lines because then they won't get erased. If you go over the pencil lines, it kind of, the watercolor will seal them. And I want to make sure I get rid of them. Oh, it's still soft. Look, it's like moving. It hasn't fully dried, I guess, which makes sense. It's only been one night, so. And this is a System 3 Daler-Rowney Filbert. And considering it, these are just two curated sets that are not meant to be a full palette, when you put two of them together, they actually come out pretty well. You actually get a nice range. This is the beautiful green gold. Just in love with that color. Makes me want to have one in all my palettes. And these are all single pigment colors, which is always really good for color mixing. Oranges are really good for mixing as well. I do wish I had like a burnt sienna, but I guess that ochre color will have to do. So that's the one thing I'm kind of missing. I do love burnt siennas, especially the really warm, not the yellowish ones, but the like rich brownish ones. I really like those. Okay. See, that's the only thing is like all these reds are very close to each other. They're even hard to tell apart in smaller spaces. But they're definitely different. I can even see the difference when they're in the pan. So they're very different, but on paper in small spaces, they are not that different. Like these two are both very warm reds. This is the purple. I mean, not that I need a purple, but that is a pretty purple if you're gonna have a purple. If you're gonna have a purple, have that purple. I'm not a huge fan of the dioxazine purple because that one is like super noxious. It likes to kind of like take over the page, you know? Yeah, so the blues are nice, but the last color is a black, and if I had my way, I would have definitely done a brown instead of a black. The black is not super useful, but you know, again, it's interesting to have these curated palettes and kind of challenge yourself to use a different color palette. So I'm gonna let it dry, erase the lines, laminate it with my fancy packing tape, and then that will go right in there. So that's that one. And then let's do this one. I don't think I need to swatch the white. And I'm gonna kind of do the same thing here, except try to have more of a mass tone at the top. But I guess it doesn't matter. Let me move this because that cord is getting in my way. I have the phone plugged in. Oh, that yellow's falling out too. Yeah, it's good I bought like a whole big bottle of glycerin, but then of course my cat decided to knock it over and it spilled over, and then I barely have any left now. So thanks, Sam. That was really awesome of you. And again, gonna do that and then erase these pencil lines. Oh, that orange is falling out. Gonna have to maybe add another layer or so, and then maybe add some glycerin to get them to behave better. Maybe it's just the brand. Maybe the Holbeins do that more, because this is Daniel Smith and this is ShinHan. And they're not having that issue, but that again could be just the pigments themselves, because not all of the Holbein are falling out either. Oh no, I did the swatch wrong. Yeah, because these two were both 2 spots. Ugh, you know what? I'm just gonna let it go. It's just gonna be an uneven swatch, because I don't actually have any more watercolor paper. I mean, I have more watercolor paper, but I just have the really nice cotton one, and I don't want to waste that, so it is what it is. Maybe someday when I rearrange it, I'll redo the swatch also, so we'll see. But right now, that's what it is. But also, I did not pre-wet these, and they're re-wetting really nicely, actually. If you guys can see that. So this is more like an opera pink. So it's actually a line of the pink. Go back in there. Now this was one of the colors that was not part of the 24 set. I had bought this one separately. And then the one thing I was happy about is that all the colors I bought separately were not in the 24 set, so none of them were repeats. So I hadn't doubled up on anything. This is a really nice color. This is a single pigment color, and it's really bright. Now it's a violet, but I would almost use it as a primary cool red. This was also an extra that I had bought right here, I think. Yep, this was, or was it? Yeah, this was an extra that I had bought. Also not part of the set. And then this one. This is the ultramarine, I think. Or no, wait. This is like a blue violet, and then this is the ultramarine, I guess. Like, wait a minute, this one looks way more ultramarine. I don't think I'm gonna bother putting the names down. When you're out and about painting quickly, you know, I'm not sure how much you're worried about all that. You just need to see what the colors look like, and then, you know, it's good enough. I think I kept all the blues from the set because they were all nice. Yeah, I got rid of one of the greens, one of the purples, and one of the reds. But everything else stayed. That one looks a lot like this one, actually. Guess it's just pretty much the same thing, but it's got the white added in, so it's more opaque, maybe. Those two look a lot alike. In the larger swatch, they looked pretty different, which is why I guess I kept them both. Wow, that one really cracked. I'm like picking up pieces of it on the paintbrush. Yeah. Gouache does not like being dried out and paletted. It likes being used wet, this color. Maybe over here I'll write in, you know, something like gouache palette or something fun. Now this is the blue, grayish blue, but it just looks gray to me. And this is the greenish gray, or grayish green. So grayish blue, grayish green. These two also I had bought separately, more like as specialty colors. It's an olive green. Oh no, wait, that's moss green. I also bought that one separately. This is the olive green that came as part of the set. Also a nice green. I like these three greens actually. This green I wasn't crazy about. I think if I add some red into it, it will dull it down and make it kind of nice. Or add some black into it, or dark umber, make it a lot darker, you know. I think this green is good for mixing. Otherwise, it's a very sort of fluorescent, it's like a neon poison green, and like, you know, a witchy sort of scene, like where you have like all the potions in the witch's closet or on the witch's shelf. And there's like with that one bottle that says poison on it with the skull and bones with some green liquid inside. That's that green. So I don't think that's getting used on its own, but useful. That's like an ochre color, like a very neutral yellow, which is nice. This is the burnt sienna right here. So yeah, see, a lot of them really cracked and are gonna fall out unless I do something about it. Yeah, I'm gonna put the glycerin in there. If you guys want an update on that situation, and if that helped, let me know. Oh, I love this burnt sienna. That's exactly the burnt sienna I was talking about that I like. Like that color, that like fox, fall chestnut. You know the vibe, you know what I mean. That's a beautiful one. All of these colors by Holbein are actually really beautiful and very clear, even though a lot of them are mixes, and I'm also questioning their light fastness, so I think I would mostly use this paint for making prints or, you know, illustrations for scanning. Certainly totally fine using for my sketchbook. I don't know if I would use them to sell as original works of art because I don't know how long they will last, to be honest with you. Okay, and there you have it, the beautiful palette. And I'm sure you already saw this, but I forgot to mention, I did use a corner rounder to round these corners and then to just punch off the very tips. So it made it a more kind of, you know, pointy kind of cut off edge. This is like a rounded one and this is more pointy, but I just didn't want the full-on edges. Then, like I said, I'll put the packing tape over them, and that's pretty much it. So now I have all these little travel palettes that are very easy to bring places, and so I'm really excited about that. Not that I need any more of them, but don't be surprised if I end up getting some more of these in the future because I really love them. Let me do that. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up. Give me a follow if you want to see more stuff along these lines, or if you have any suggestions for videos, if you have any questions. I'm always happy to answer all sorts of questions, either in the comment section or even like do a Q&A type of video. Maybe do a painting as I do Q&A questions. So yeah, let me know. Hey guys, if you've made it this far in the video, thank you, thank you, thank you, and you deserve a little bit of bonus footage. Last night, put glycerin, vegetable glycerin. So this used to be a full bottle until my cat decided to have his way with it. And I had this little pipette sort of thing, so I just took some and I added it to the ones that were crackling. I did fill this one up more because that was the one that was like basically empty after I had dried out. So I topped that one off. These are still looking good. No issues there. Nothing really needs to be done here, so I'm just going to leave that one alone. Oh, and I also went ahead and laminated these and finished them up as well. So, and by laminated, I mean I put some packing tape on it. It's really cheap, it's easy, and it works perfectly well. And just to make it not look like such a mess, I put that there since I had messed up. So I wanted to really quickly just see whether the glycerin ones still work the same. I don't really know. I've used glycerin before to kind of glue the really dried watercolors down to the bottom of the pen, but for some of these I used it as glue, but then other ones I mixed it into the paint, so I don't know how that will be. Oh, I'm like the messiest, most clumsy person. That's why I always, for my cell phone, I always get the OtterBox Defender because that thing gets dropped a lot. So this one I just used it to glue it down. So let's see how that works. Oh, wow. Look at how quick that reactivates. For gouache, like gouache is supposed to like not be as good at drying out as watercolors. And then this is the one that I mixed the glycerin into it. Okay, no issues. It's even like somewhat watery almost looking because of the glycerin, because glycerin really doesn't dry out. But look at how well that works anyways. Okay, so I think the glycerin was a success. It doesn't look so great. Like you can kind of see where the glycerin is. Like some of these lighter areas. Let me show you guys. You can see there's like a lighter area right there in the middle and right there in the middle because I kind of put the glycerin into the cracks. And here, well, it's still moving around because glycerin doesn't really dry out very well. I mean, that's the whole point of it, right? Is to have them not so dried out that they crack and fall out. Some of these were like by last night, they had gotten so dried out and so cracked that they were literally just falling out in little crumbs. Like this one, you can see it's completely all broken up. And this one was completely just crushed into nothingness. So then I just added more paint and glycerin right into it. So it kind of is like a gooey glue. So let's see. Let's shake it. Sorry about all the, still a ton of paint on my fingers. Shake it, shake it, shake it, and voila. Okay, I'm gonna go with that worked. So let's see the ones that I put the glycerin in. Yeah, it's all good. Okay, and then the other one, I think I added a bunch of glycerin. I did it here too. Look, the pieces got glued down and aren't moving around. So yeah, so some of them I topped off and some of them I just added glycerin without topping off. So I think that came out pretty good. Like it doesn't look super pretty, but it works and nothing's falling out. And so now, let's see. Now I have these 3 palettes. This is really cute. and it has 12 colors. And so even if I run out of, like, let's say one of the yellows, because those go fast, I have more paint here. And worst case scenario, I can always use the gouache paint and mix it in with the watercolors too. All it will do is just make it more opaque, so that's fine. The yellows are kind of opaque to begin with anyways, and doesn't really matter. I'm just, you know, working my sketchbook. So I hope you guys like this video. Thanks for sticking around till the end, and I'll see you in my next one. Thanks. Bye.